Hi, everyone. This is Megan.
And this is Steven.
And this is the Synchrony Podcast, where we talk about transforming apostolic dating culture and ending loneliness in the church. I was watching Steven. I was laughing because I was watching him take a risky sip of coffee right at the time when I needed to say that.
Yeah.
I was worried it was going to make an unfortunate noise in the... No, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, he's doing it. I'm sorry. Anyway, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. We're a couple days late and a few dollars short.
And we are starting this podcast at 11:30 p.m. So 11:21.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it is 11:20. Oh.
Yeah.
Let's actually try to do what we say we're going to do and stick around 40 minutes.
Okay. So this is going to be a rapid fire episode. We are not going to get excited about anything or go on any tangents or tell any personal stories at all.
My fingers are crossed.
Yeah, and your toes.
Yeah.
We're talking about money.
Money.
Money. What's that song? Always sunny in a rich man's world. That's a song from, I don't know whose song that is. Okay, so we're talking about money. And I think the reason why we're talking about money is because, are you all right?
This is going to go great.
Yeah. The reason why we're talking about money is because we have said more than once that in order to really be seriously considering dating for marriage,
Yeah.
you need to be, quote unquote, financially ready to get married.
Yep.
Right? Like, I think those words have passed our lips before a few times.
Yep.
What does it mean? So I guess let me ask this first. We have also said there's no such thing as being completely ready.
Yeah.
I think we have like a whole episode early on about just like this myth of like being totally ready or like having everything ready to go or whatever. And that could be confusing for people. This idea that there's no such thing as totally ready, but also be financially ready.
Yeah, sure.
So do you think that there is a point where someone like an adult is not financially ready to be married? What would be the things that would tell you that they were not financially prepared for marriage?
I feel like that's a hard question to answer and with a short answer. But like one of the ones I'm thinking of is like a teenager who has like a job that's part-time making like $10 an hour. Well, I guess that's not nowadays.
Well, and it's not an adult. I specified adult. But
No, I know. I know. But what I mean by that is like, if you can't pay for the four walls of your home, which we'll explain that in a minute, and also not be reliant on anyone financially.
Yeah, or at least you have to be able to be at a point where you can self-sustain is what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like self-sustain. But some people are self-sustaining, but they also like their mom still pays for their cell phone bill and like their insurance. I'm like don't get me wrong, that's nice. But if that stopped tomorrow, would that put you in a pinch?
Yeah.
And also not that, and that's, you can survive that way, but you also want to be able to save enough money to move yourself forward too. In an ideal world.
Yeah, I think we should caveat this whole episode by saying that we're talking about this at a time when a lot of young people and single people are experiencing pretty extreme like financial duress, right? Like it's a difficult time to be living on a single income.
Yeah, it is.
And so I don't want to like minimize the fact that like the idea of saving for some people feels totally outside of the realm of possibility. And we can talk about some strategies that might help that could make that a little bit more approachable.
I think I'm going to redact a little bit of what I just said.
Okay.
I think it's less about a number and more about a mindset. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, a number is important, but I know people who are very well off who, if something happened tomorrow, they could accidentally spend all of their money and not know why.
So I think self-sustaining, though, I think the concept that you had there that you need to be self-sustaining makes sense for both of those things because...
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's if you have the right mindset about money and you have the right values, generally speaking, you will end up having the right concept that will propel you forward.
Yeah, and you're
married.
making enough money to kind of like do the things. Okay, so let's get a little bit more nitty-gritty. The four walls.
Yep.
And this is, when we say the four walls, this is a Dave Ramsey concept. Maybe I don't know if he made
I don't know if he coined it, but
no,
he uses it
but
all
he
the time.
talks about it a lot. So the four walls are basically your basics. They are the things that you have to basically survive in modern Western society. So the four walls are housing, utilities, transportation, and what was the last one? Housing, utilities, transportation,
Food.
food. Yeah, there we go.
Kind of important.
Yeah, obviously there's like other things that you might feel like are completely necessary for you. And you might be able to tag things like cell phone and internet under utilities if that's something
Yeah.
that's critical.
Nowadays, with how technological this world is, you kind of need those things.
Right. So think of those as like housing being like, do you have shelter, right? Do you have a place to live that you are able to pay for? Utilities, that's water, electricity, internet, whatever goes into just like the services you have to pay for to survive, right? Can you cover all of those bills? Transportation, do you have a vehicle and can you fill it with gas? Which,
Well, and insurance and maintain it.
right now, the gas is a real big question mark.
Oh, sure.
It's rough.
Like we have some pretty small tank cars, and I'm still crying every time we fill up our car.
Yeah. Um, and then food, right? Can you
Yeah.
feed yourself? So
We're not talking about like Wagyu. We're talking about
yeah, I mean,
substance.
whatever you consider to be a reasonable food bill. We can talk
Yeah.
about budgeting and like where to sort of trim stuff if we want to. But I think the takeaway is that if you are making enough money with whatever job you have to pay for those things, your four walls, you could consider yourself to be self-sustaining. I think ideally you'd be able to pay for those things and have a little bit of funds that you could start to set aside in savings, even if it's $25 a month, right?
Yeah.
Like, and for what it's worth, tithing and offering is also
Yes,
included in that four
100%.
walls. That is a necessity. I consider that to be like utilities or housing, where it's like it is part of what comes out of. It's the first thing that comes out of your budget every month. It's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you take two of these exact people that you just explained, like they're breaking pretty much a little bit over even, right? A little bit money away in savings. They're be able to cover all of these expenses we just talked about. And then you match them together and then they end up getting married. Living together and being married is cheaper than living separately.
In a lot of ways, yeah. In the sense of if you have people that have equal incomes,
Yeah.
you can stay in the same size apartment. It's true.
Yes.
So you don't have to.
That does not mean all your stuff will fit, though.
Yeah, that's true. You might.
Luckily,
have to
I
pare some
came into
stuff
our
down.
marriage with almost nothing, but it still was a tight fit.
Yeah, you brought nothing, and I brought a whole U-Haul full of books and stuff that we've slowly whittled down over the years. Have I told you my dream of
Yes.
my earthly possessions?
You mean your capsule wardrobe and your laundry?
No,
or sorry,
like-
your bookshelf library thing.
Not quite, although those are all great. I've thought about how many things I want to actually own by the time I die, because I'm morbid like that. If you don't think about your own death, you're not getting anywhere in life. Like you need to be thinking about like.
We're not going to talk about the mushroom suit.
No. Now I have to explain it.
No, you don't. No, you don't. It's an Easter egg for the next time you
when
explain
you say stuff like that, people are like, mushrooms, what? And they're going to think that I'm like,
No, we're not eating mushrooms, but it's
We're not
it's a
doing
burial
mushrooms.
practice. We'll talk about it later.
I don't know that we will. Anyway,
We told them we wouldn't tangent too much.
someone put a pin in that. We're going to need to get like a lore keeper who's able to like tell us when we said promises about stuff.
That would require someone to listen to all of these ridiculous podcasts.
Yeah. So anyway, at the end of life, I want all of my earthly possessions to fit into my cedar chest, which was my grandmother's hope chest that she then gifted to me that is now in our possession. And I want all of my earthly possessions to fit into that chest at the end of my life, slowly whittling them down throughout life, giving them away and such. That's the dream.
We got a long way to go.
Yeah, I'm in a maximalist phase right now. We're gonna start whittling that down about midlife. It's
You're gonna have to whittle down that kitchen in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that's why it's a dream. Okay, so yeah, it is initially cheaper, I think, for two single people making around the same amount of money to live together. Obviously, some expenses go up, like you're gonna pay more in food cumulatively, maybe together, right? You've got.
I mean, not necessarily, but like if anything, food should go down because you're now able to buy in bigger quantities for the same amount of people,
You're
right?
definitely if you're able to cook, you're definitely saving money cooking for two.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like cooking for two, rent goes down. Literally, you cut your rent, so you should be saving that money at the very least. Your insurance usually have discounts if you're on the same insurance.
Yeah.
Like all of these big things. Now you have one internet bill, one utility bill.
You will pay more in water because of
the water should stay the
showering.
same for the female, most likely. Just
I don't know.
go up for the guy.
Maybe.
That's a stereotype. I
It is a
understand.
stereotype. Yeah.
But so that being said, if all of those things match and you get married,
Yeah.
your expenses cumulatively should go down.
Yes.
And so that means that extra money could be put away for savings. So that's what I'm saying. Like in an ideal world, if you can get to break even for living on your own, and you marry someone who is in a similar mindset and a similar phase of life, you guys can thrive in that specific season. This is not taking into account debt.
Well, before we get to debt, I just want to call out. So what we're saying is readiness to move into that newlywed stage of marriage, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, especially men, I don't know if you find this, put pressure on themselves to be in a financial place that when they get married, they can immediately move into like stage 3 of marriage, which is like nice house, enough money to have kids.
Do you know who you married?
Well, I'm not saying us. I'm just saying like,
well, you asked me. You're like, well, you referenced me.
I'm just saying like if you've talked to guys about this.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
When I hear guys
Well,
say,
I think that's the expectation is like you get married and you get a nice house with a picket fence,
Right. So I think we fast forward to the fact that like you are going to need a newlywed phase, right? And that might require living a little bit more rough than you will in 5 or 7 or 10 years because you need time to build up that income momentum in order to do the things you want to do, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm assuming that these are two people of sort of average income, right?
Yeah.
Now you
This
might
is
have,
that there's a lot of variables and assumptions
right,
here.
you might have someone making significantly more, someone making significantly less than the average. But if you've got the sort of average income situation, in order to save money on combining your lives, you can't go up in lifestyle at the same time.
Mm-mm.
So when you get married is not the time that you're also buying new vehicles, and it's not the time that you're putting down a mortgage on a house that is maxing out your sort of limit,
Yeah.
right? Ideally, you're moving into an existing place that you guys, one of you is already renting or owns, where that payment is already manageable for one person. Or you're finding something that is well within your budget for two people.
Yeah.
They usually, they ask like, what's the ideal kind of ratio of how much housing should take up in your budget? Ideally, it should take up less than a third. And I know, again, the housing crisis is real. People are really struggling to find affordable housing. You might have to get creative. Lots of people are doing things like multi-generational housing in their first year of marriage. That means living with family. I know that's a tough sell. But it can be done. It was done for many, many years.
Yeah.
For most
It's not
of us.
American standard, but it should be viable.
I talked about how, when a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about like just kind of the legacy that God has allowed us to kind of step into with this. My grandparents, the reason why they were able to financially move themselves forward was because when they got married at the age of like 19, because this was like the 60s, they moved in with my great grandparents and lived with them for a while until their house could be built. Right.
Yeah.
I've known many couples recently who in their first year of marriage have chosen to live with their parents. And these aren't necessarily couples that are 20 somethings.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's financially viable for them. It's better for the families. It's whatever makes sense. So there's nothing shameful in doing that.
No. I mean, there is a societal pressure that might be put on you in some sort of way, especially if it's like, I think there's probably more of there used to be more of a taboo conversation around being 30 and single and living with your mom and dad. But like, it's one of those things is with how expensive it is. Like I know multiple people who lived with their parents and honestly some of my family members too into the late 20s. And it wasn't because they couldn't afford, they had full careers. It was just the parents were almost empty nesters and the kid paid rent. Like, it wasn't like it was
Yeah.
they were living for free, but why not stay there?
Well, and I mean,
And it
yeah.
until they got into a situation where they could find a good deal on a home or something.
I've also met young people who are living with family not just because it benefits them financially, but because it benefits their family. Like if you have
Yeah, that's
if your
true.
parents or grandparents are financially close to the line, having a family member stay and pay rent and support them can be really helpful.
Yeah.
So, combining your finances and getting married does not have to entail an immediate jump in lifestyle. And I think that's a pressure that a lot of people put themselves under, that it's like, oh, we're not financially ready to get married until we're financially ready to buy a $400,000 house and
Yeah.
float that mortgage payment. Like that might not be within the realm of possibility for your first few years. Okay, let's talk about debt because you were going there.
Yeah.
What is the risk of carrying debt into your marriage?
Um, Trying to figure out how transparent.
We did a whole episode on this, by the way. You can go back and look at our episode on why we screen out people with a lot of debt.
Yeah. Um, it's one of those variables that if you try your best to live on cash, which now is debit cards, I understand, and paying with what's in your bank account, and you have an emergency fund, you don't make as impulsive decisions. You make choices with a budget on what you have and try to say, hey, I want to buy a new thing or a new toy, or we want this new appliance, or we want this new car, or new car to us. Let's plan it out. Let's think about it and be intentional about it. And it's not impulsive. Where debt gets risky is when you say, hey, I want this thing. You allow yourself to obsess about it and get excited about it. And then now you make an emotional decision that now affects your future because you're stuck in a 7 to 10 to 12 year loan that could be risky for your family.
I think all that's true, but I want to back out a little bit because I think the core of the question is because at this point there are plenty of people who have debt that they didn't necessarily choose,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Their
Like student loans and stuff
student
like that.
loans is
Well, you
probably
did choose it, but I get what you mean.
yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of people who felt like there was no choice. You have
Yeah.
to go to college, and the way to go to college is through getting student loans.
Yeah.
There are ways to go to college without accruing debt. I will say it's very challenging, especially in the current sort of college financial machine, right?
Yeah.
Um, so, people will have student loans, they'll have car loans, sometimes they'll have home loans, or they'll have medical debt that they don't feel like is their choice. And so it doesn't have to be the scenario where someone like got excited and made an impulse buy. But I think the reason why debt in general is risky going into a marriage is because there is an opportunity cost to the money that you have to spend on debt, right?
Yeah.
The idea of the opportunity cost is that if I make one choice, by making that choice, I'm choosing not to take on a different option, right? So if I say I want to go on a trip on Thursday, I can either go to St. Augustine or I can go to Disney World. I can't go to both on Thursday, right? I can only pick one. There's an opportunity cost. If I go to St. Augustine, the cost of that decision is going to Disney World and vice versa.
Yeah.
If you are spending money on debt because you have to pay back your debt, and that probably includes spending money on interest that wasn't originally part of your debt, then you are losing the opportunity to choose to do something different with that money. So as a married couple, again, if you have two people who are sustaining themselves with their income and they combine lives and there's no debt involved that they're having to pay on or add to or combine or whatever, that's not accruing massive amounts of interest that grows and grows and grows and grows and grows, then that couple is able to set aside maybe part of one person's income for savings.
Yeah. Or whenever they combine households and they no longer have to pay two rent, they pay one rent, and
Right.
all that money that was going to the other rent can go into savings.
Right. So they're able to start kind of attacking their goals and really
Yeah.
building up wealth and starting to generate the lifestyle that they eventually want to build toward, right? Saving for having kids, saving for new cars, all that kind of stuff. If you're coming into your relationship with a massive amount of debt, you have far fewer choices about how you prioritize your funds, right?
Yeah. At least until it's paid off.
Right. If you come into the marriage and oh, both of us are bringing massive amounts of student loan debt and credit card debt and other kinds of personal debt, then already you know that your income is mostly taken up with debt,
Yeah.
right? And if you're trying to pay it off faster than just the bare minimum, then that means that you don't have someone's income to set aside for savings. It's got to go to debt first. So the reason why debt is risky, I think, is because it deprives you of the ability to build momentum early on in your marriage
Yeah.
financially. And we live in a society where it is extremely expensive to raise children these days. It's very expensive to start your own business. It's expensive to, drive certain vehicles. It's expensive to be able to afford travel and all the kinds of things that we think of as sort of standard elements of like American life are very, very costly. If you are starting out your relationship already under this massive load of debt, you shouldn't expect to be able to step into those things in the near future. And that can be fine if you guys
Step into what things?
step into sort of those lifestyle choices of
Oh,
being
yes.
able to like build toward having kids and financially being able to sustain them, right? And like I don't think it's a problem if two people who carry debt come together and decide, hey, we're going to get married. We both have debt. The initial goal of our marriage is going to be to pay this debt off.
Yeah.
That's great because you guys are going to unite on that.
But that's got to be a big value on you guys, on between you both, because what happens is if there's a large debt and one person's gung ho and the other person's not, what ends up happening is that becomes a very large wedge.
Right.
Because one person is continuing to add, maybe they're not adding to the debt, but maybe they're spending the money that was supposed to go towards paying off debt. And now there's something that you guys have to figure out. You have to have that conversation. It will continue to be a thorn.
Right. Or if they make the mistake of treating their debts as separate. So they get married and they're like, well, this is your loan, so you need to take care of this, and I've got my thing and I'm going to take care of this. Once you're married, your finances are one.
Yep.
Like,
till death do you part.
Right. And all of your debt becomes each other's, and it's important to be able to kind of attack that together.
Which is why we also, and this isn't everyone's opinion, we also advise when you get married to combine incomes completely in bank accounts.
Yeah. Use the same bank account, share all the accounts. It levels the playing field in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah. And it's a matter of transparency and teamwork.
Yeah.
Like if you start off your marriage saying, no, what's mine's mine and what's yours. And you take the water bill, I'll take the internet. Like it doesn't feel like you're working together. You're not in it for the long run. You're keeping things separate and it feels like you're at a distance.
And I've had people who have told me, hey, I'm nervous about doing that. Like I don't want to get married and have to combine my finances with someone because I really value security. Security in your marriage is going to come from transparency.
Yeah. There's no getting married and not being vulnerable and it lasting. Mm-hmm. You have to be vulnerable in your marriage or else it's why get married to begin with.
Yeah. Okay. So we're spiraling around a few different topics at this point, but like the takeaway is financial readiness does not have to mean complete debt freedom.
Yeah.
It should mean that you have done your best to minimize the amount of debt that you carry. And that means making some choices as a single person that might make you a little bit weird.
Yeah.
That could be okay. So it is really hard to stay out of debt right now in society. I do think there are ways that singles can make choices that help them position themselves better with debt when it comes to getting married.
Yeah.
One of the places that I see people get really tripped up on right now is buying new or almost new vehicles.
Yeah. And on the guise of it's safer.
Sure. And it might be to some degree, but the difference in safety between a car made in 2011 and a car made in 2020 is not going to be as significant.
No, you're talking about decibels difference, like
decimals.
Did I say decibels?
You did.
Decimals difference.
Maybe it might sound weird too. It could.
Yeah,
be.
Yeah, that too.
2011 car could be a little loud.
Yeah, it's not going to be as pretty. It's not going to be as shiny, but it's in terms of safety. If it was fine in 2011, there's not going to be a drastic difference between that and now.
No, and I mean, I'm not saying that you need to drive a junker or that you need to drive something that isn't safe.
Like I think you should drive a junker, but
well, we live in a state where you don't have to pass any kind of inspections to keep your car on the road. In a lot of other states, your car has to get inspected and whatever. Fair. And so there are like things that can like basically invalidate your ability to drive your car.
Anyone south of South Carolina?
I know. I think there's below the Mason-Dixon states that do this too. It's not just the northern states.
Wow.
But and I think the reasons for that are good, right? I mean, like you want to have everyone to be insured and everyone have insurable cars.
Yeah, I'm not
and all
saying
this other
drive a
stuff.
dangerous car, but I am not one to give lovingly advice on cars.
But here's the deal. So a lot of people listening to this don't have, especially if you're a single woman, you might not have ever been exposed to any information about cars and what makes them safe or unsafe.
Sure.
And all they have is a salesman going, well, you don't want to be driving anything unsafe, do you? Right?
Yeah, sure.
So your car like needs to be able to function, needs to be able to like stay on the road, needs to like there's varying levels of what makes a car like road safe. And I don't think that most singles have a really detailed understanding of that. So like it's pretty easy to be talked into, oh, buy a car that's just a few years old because it's going to be safer for longer. And in the long run, it's going to, it's going to treat you well. But by the way, this car payment is going to max out your ability to save.
Yeah. Yeah. But also I know plenty of people that do know the difference who use the guise of safety to buy more bells and whistles on their car.
Yeah.
And cried to me about it whenever they had a $700 a month car payment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you had the opportunity to buy something 10 years older and pay cash for it. I don't know what to tell you.
Steven's on his high horse. It's true though.
Yeah, because it's so if you can pay cash for a car, if you have $8,000 saved up, or say you have let's say $8,000 saved up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, an $8,000 car is not going to be the thing that you're going to love to take a girl on a date on.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things is all you pay cash for it, you have it. Going back to opportunity cost. If I were to buy a car that was $25,000,
right?
I put 8 down on it. So now what is that? $17,000 left?
Math, yeah.
$17,000 left, not including the interest. And you now have, let's say, a $500 car payment.
Sure.
For the next 7 years, $500 of your income, not including maintenance, not including tires, not including oil changes, not including when that brand new car could still have an alternator go out.
Yeah.
You now have a $500 car payment. And the moment you drive that brand new car off the lot, you lost it like 10 to 15% of its value the moment the tires hit the asphalt out of the driveway.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things is like, I do have a high horse about this because I love seeing people save money in a way that can be useful for them. And cars and like the shininess of them, I have no care in the world for.
And you can buy a safe vehicle for $8,000 to $10,000.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
don't think everyone knows that.
No. I know that. I'm laughing because I was just telling someone the other day, until we got this Buick from your parents, that like your mom basically traded in her car, and we got a new vehicle, or new to her vehicle.
She ended up not trading it in because they weren't going to give her.
Well, yeah, she
anything.
wanted to trade it in. They didn't want to give her anything for it. And she's like, "Hey, we'll sell this to you for the price for what they are going to give to us." So, it's like a 2015 Buick Enclave, beautiful interior.
Yeah,
sure, it has some mechanical things that need some fixing, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I told someone the other day that that's the newest car that has been my personal daily driver.
Yeah.
My newest car that I've had before this car was a 2005.
Well, the van is a 2016.
No, my daily that was driver. In like, yeah. Because like before we got married, like all the, like the van in my mind was like your car for a long time.
When we first started dating, the car that you had the bumper duct taped on.
Oh, is that the Honda?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my pizza car.
You look so nostalgic.
Yeah. Poor Aaron. I have a buddy of mine that would ride around in it after I had delivered pizzas, and my AC, I have the worst luck with ACs. It has nothing to do with the value of the cars. It's just my luck with ACs, I promise. I I lived in South Florida, had
Mhm.
no AC in the
Ugh.
middle of the summer
Yeah.
while delivering pizzas.
Gross.
So I literally worked out of my car 10 hours a day.
Ugh.
And so Aaron would ride
Smelled
with
like
me
a
to
zoo exhibit in
dude,
there.
Aaron would ride with me to school with our windows down, and he's like, dude, your car smells like sweaty pizza. I'm like, you're the sweat part of it, and
Gross.
I have the pizza part of it. Like, it was just like this. It was, but also like, I paid cash for it. I didn't owe any money, and sure, it wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
But, oh, dude, riding to church though. I'm not really selling this whole like car thing, by the way. Riding to church in a suit.
Yeah.
With no AC in South Florida.
In the pizza car.
And a pizza car. Oh, that's why you never noticed me.
Yeah. It smelled like pizza and socks. No, that I did not ever notice how you smelled or didn't smell. But I mean, I think so. It's worth calling out that like it is okay to be uncomfortable and even a little gritty for a while as a single person in order to not saddle yourself with debt.
I think that's the point. The point I'm trying to make is I am perfectly okay with being uncomfortable if it means financially for the short term.
Yeah.
It's going to help us in the long term.
Yes.
Like, and sacrificing comfort is something that like I think that should be a common concept that isn't. Like, we love comfort as Americans.
Yeah.
We want it to be comfortable. We want it to feel mentally perfectly safe. I mean, I say safe, I mean like there's no question anywhere. Like, if there's a check engine light, we got to go take it to and get it fixed right away.
Right.
That's probably a good idea to check it out. But like, check engine lights are like Christmas lights for me.
Okay, so Steven's not really selling the whole like safety bit, but I think that
No, they're safe.
yeah. Anyway,
they're safe. They're just anyways.
Our takeaway here is like you need to be careful about where you sink your disposable income when you are a single person. You might not have a lot of it, right? And if buying a car that's a few years newer is going to entail thousands of dollars of debt, you should think really hard before you do that, because that debt carries a weight of risk and opportunity cost.
Yeah.
And it's going to be something that you and your spouse in the future have to deal with. So staying out of debt is amazing preparation for being financially ready. If you haven't been able to stay out of debt, or if you did get into some debt, there are ways to whittle that down. And I think that during your single season, really focusing on doing that is ideal. Again, I don't want to pretend that that's not hard to do right now in this economy, but it is possible.
Yeah.
It will entail living in a higher level of discomfort than the people next door who got married when they were 19 might be doing.
Yeah.
Right? Especially people like me who are not knowledgeable about cars. Like, I know more about cars from being married to you for a few years than I ever knew beforehand, even though I was driving for, like 8 or 9 years before we got married. I don't think I ever had an understanding of where the risk was, right? So in my mind, the risk of quote unquote danger in the car was so much bigger than the financial risk that you're describing. But a lot of things, like there are a handful of things that will cause your car to stop running in a way that's dangerous and concerning. And those are things that you got to get fixed and that you got to monitor for and whatever. But like in the schema of like things that could go wrong with cars that could be really expensive, there's not a lot of them that are going to be critically in the moment, like likely forms of breakage that are going to happen to the average car. I mean, there's exceptions, right?
Yeah, there is. But like, the thing is nowadays
there's a mechanic laughing at me for that entire statement that I just made.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily agree with what you just said.
Yeah.
But with the internet, and especially with chat now, ChatGPT and YouTube, we can play the ignorance card as much as we want. But using I don't understand, so I'm going to go 7 years into debt. We don't make that decision about anything else in our life.
No, and here's the thing, baby. I don't actually think that many people are trying to make a careless decision with cars.
No, I don't think it's no, I know, but I understand. But
yeah.
The thing is if we were to not get married and your Mazda 6 at the time disintegrated.
Sure.
Would you have spent the time to learn about cars, or went and bought and leased a car, or rented, or get a loan on a car.
I probably would have gotten a loan because that's what I'd done with the Mazda 6 before, which is why I had half of that loan when we got married.
Yeah.
And the reason is because I was panicking. Like,
Yeah.
I think especially if you're a single person, you are on a sole income, you getting to your job is sort of feels like a matter of life and death. And
Sure.
you've had something go wrong with your car, you can make a snap decision that can put you in debt for years and years and years and years and years.
100%.
And so in those moments, you need to have a plan. And the plan should be, here's the savings that I have available. I need to spend no more than this on a car, or I need to spend as close as I possibly can to this.
And that's the thing that gets me.
Yeah.
I have less of a problem with you getting a car loan
Mm-hmm.
than you getting a car loan and now you're playing with Monopoly money. So what happens is some people go, oh, if I'm going to get a loan on a car, let me look at the next model up.
Yes. You got to stay.
You get the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And so what happens is like, oh, it's only $20,000. I could pay it. I can afford this $450 a month car payment.
Yeah. But the thing is that's the myth that gets all of us, right? Is, oh, I can afford it. My paycheck is technically enough to handle all this. Here's the thing. In the way that we talked about how when you marry someone, your income stacks and provides you with all these opportunities to save, your debt stacks as well and saddles you further.
Yeah. And this is not including if you already have student loans or credit cards.
Well, what I'm saying, yeah. So that's the thing. If you are average, I used to do this exercise with the students that I TA'd for who were like first year undergrads at UF. Because I knew that like nobody was talking to them about finances, and I would take like one lesson out of the quarter and be like, we're talking about money. Like, even though like it wasn't on the syllabus. I'm like, guys, listen, someone's got to give you this talk. Right. And I would say, so here's the average amount of student loan debt for a student at our university. Here is the average amount of car debt for someone who's buying a car right now. Here's the average mortgage, right? Here's the median income of someone at this age.
Yeah.
This is how your income is going to look like this. This is how this plays out until you get to retirement. This is how little you have to live on when you're in your 60s.
Yep.
You have to be thinking that far out, right? And so like if you are both coming into marriage stacked with debt, yes, you have more income to pay toward that debt, but that massive load of debt and the interest that load of debt is generating is costing you in the future for things that you aren't able to set aside for, and that you aren't able to save for, and that you aren't able to pay for outright. And it perpetuates this cycle where you might find yourself in a situation where you feel pressure to go into more debt to get out of perceived danger or discomfort.
Yeah. So we've done a lot of rambling about debt and cars and risk. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about the flip side of that just for a second.
Okay.
Just so that way people understand why I'm so adamant about it.
Okay.
Let's take that $500 that we've added to a car payment that we think we can afford. And going back to opportunity cost of what you were talking about before.
Yeah.
Let's say we put that into investments instead.
So in this scenario, they haven't bought a car.
So they did not buy a car. They paid cash for it, and they still have this $500 disposable income. Mm-hmm. That they come together and they put $500 a month into retirement or mm-hmm. into like a mutual fund, a diversified mutual fund or something.
Right.
So that's, what is that, $6,000 a year?
Sure.
On average, you can probably expect to make somewhere between 8 to 10%, which is kind of low.
In a diverse bucket of mutual funds, not on someone's hearing that and freaking out because that's bigger than any kind of rate of savings.
Yeah, if you're talking about like a high yield savings account that makes like a 2%.
Yeah, no, but that's what he's talking about is a mutual fund breakdown. You can look at data.
Yeah, a mutual fund breakdown, and it's diversified between some stuff that's aggressive, some that's safe. It's like all over the place. And yes, is it risky? Sure, but it's not as risky as getting a car loan.
Yeah.
So, which you're literally just throwing it in the wind at that point.
Right.
Because it's a depreciating asset. So you take that money and you invest it. Mm-hmm. On average, every 7 years, that money is going to double. Yeah. And compound interest is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, the concept of compound interest is the money that you make off of your money starts making you money.
Right. So if you are building interest on the stuff that you're leaving in savings, that interest is going to start accruing interest as
Yes.
well as part of the whole of what you're saving.
Yeah. So let's just put it this way. So basically the 6,000, no, real quick, just the $6,000, the $6,000 makes 10%.
Yes.
You now have $6,600.
Yes.
That next full year, this is depending on how it goes. The next full year, it makes that 10% off of $6,600.
Mm-hmm.
You now add that on and add that on and add that
Mm-hmm.
on. So it sounds small, but it builds very fast. And
Yes.
look at the compound interest calculators, y'all. It is so worth you guys thinking about your investments in your 20s and 30s than waiting into your 40s and 50s. You're talking, I'm not even joking, you're talking about the difference of millions of dollars.
Correct. So when you're talking about financial readiness for marriage, I'm pulling us way back out of the weeds here.
Sorry.
We're passionate.
We said we weren't going to tangent.
I know. We're passionate about this stuff, and we could go on about finances and stuff for days. We've taught Financial Peace University a few times, and this is really important to us. But when we talk about financial readiness for marriage, we're not talking about you doing everything perfectly, and we're not talking about you being in a position to leap suddenly into the next phase of life, right? You're not going from living in a bachelor pad to living in a 3-bedroom house with a white picket fence and 2.5 children. Do you have enough money to sustain the 4 walls? Can you keep yourself afloat by yourself? And are you not giving away are you not investing into debt, right? You need to be investing into the future and not into debt, which means that you've got to be saving have some that you are setting aside for savings that you are able to build. I think if you can do those 2 things, that you might be financially ready to combine your income with someone. If you are a teenager and you're already in that position, that does not mean run off and get married tomorrow.
No.
Right. So there are plenty of other ways in which you might not be ready to get married.
Yeah.
Right. But I've heard so many people in their 30s and 40s, especially men, say, I was so worried about being financially ready to get married. And I think it's because they're putting pressure on themselves to be able to provide an income for a family of 4 in a 3-bedroom house and 2 car payments. And it's like, whoa, slow your roll. We don't have to be there when we first get married. It's okay to live in a 1-bedroom apartment that you're renting. It's okay to drive, cheap cars. It's okay to car share. It's okay to, buy things on sale, buy things used, buy things on Facebook Marketplace. Live a little rough in the first few years of marriage. People, there's all these sort of romantic stories about people living rough in their early years of marriage. Do that.
Yeah, it's so good for your marriage.
It's so good for you, and it's not going to hurt you.
Are you going to want to kill each other sometimes? Absolutely. But it's one of those things is that's what builds the relationship. I'm not saying you have to go rough and tumble it, but if you have common values, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, the creature comforts are not going to be the thing that defines your relationship.
No.
So invest into the future by not paying into debt and by not living on more than you can make sustainably.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in a position where you're like, Megan, that all sounds nice, I'm barely keeping myself afloat. Savings are not even an option.
Yeah.
It's rough right now, y'all, and we get that, right? And the simplest equation there is, okay, if your income and your expenses are basically breaking even, you have to do a couple of things. You only have a few options for how you can change that equation, right? You can increase your income by doing additional work, taking on extra jobs, squeezing in side gigs. I'm not saying that's easy. I'm not saying that's ideal, but that's one option. You can reduce your expenses by significantly paring back your lifestyle. That means you never eat out, or you don't eat out, very often at all. It means that
try to find a roommate.
Right. It means that you're couponing. It means that you're, doing a lot to reduce the amount of expenses that it requires you to live. Or you do both of those things.
Yeah.
And try to really push.
While also trying to pursue for promotions and.
Right. You're trying to increase your income while also reducing your expenses to build up that bucket of available funds.
Also, little nugget, throw this in. I know some people, we've talked to some people who get very stuck on this is what I went to college for. I have to only work in this field.
Yeah.
There might be jobs out there that use your skills that you've learned, even though they might not perfectly line up with your degree. which could make a lot more money. You're a prime example of that. You have a master's degree in religion.
Yeah, the super lucrative field of religion.
Yeah, you're
And
about
I have
to
a
roll.
bachelor's degree in Spanish. I was really making great choices in
Yeah,
my degree pathways,
and now you
guys.
work at a like software company. That sounds shiny, but Megan's on the people side of it.
Yeah.
And they do tax work. Like,
Yeah, it's not
it's not very shiny or exciting.
It's not sexy software.
No, but it's one of those things but your communication skills, your writing skills like translated, and they saw how good you are with that, and they're like, awesome, great.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, look outside of your bubble and see if there's something else that you can make money in.
Yeah. I mean, the job market is different. I keep caveating this because I don't want people who are really struggling right now, because the economy that we're in.
Oh no, it's absolutely terrible.
Is very different than the economy that existed when we got married.
And and of course, when we talk about money, we're talking about ideals. I understand that,
right?
And people listening to us have to understand that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, oh, this is something we didn't talk about much. When you're sorry,
we're already an hour into it.
Of course we are. This is important too. So when you're looking at that equation of like, how much can I, like, when I combine my income with someone, what do we need to be able to have to like live? Remember that you do want to plan that around the type of life that you want to live with this person.
Yes.
So I've heard men say, I want to be in a relationship where I am making more money than my spouse. It's important to them that they make more money than, don't roll your eyes. Some people feel that. I agree that I think that's a silly reason, but anyway, they want to be the primary breadwinner. Right?
A lot of that has to do with pressure from parents and family, and
I agree, and I think that we should all be critical of that as an expectation. But I've had men say they want to be the primary breadwinner. They would feel some kind of way about their wife making significantly more money than they do. And yet they want to be able, and they want to have a spouse who's willing to stay at home with the kids when they have kids in the future, but they're making $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
That will not work.
No.
Right? You by yourself.
Math is not mathin'.
Right. If you want to sustain life for both of you, you don't make enough. So you got to think critically about how much money you need to live the life that you're designing for yourself.
And if you're not meeting that expectation, keeping the same expectation for what you're looking for out of a marriage is unrealistic.
Yeah. And it's okay. Like if you're saying, hey, I'm probably never going to make a ton of money because I'm planning to go into full-time ministry. And if I work bivocationally, I might be working in something that's not super lucrative. Cool, man. Like, or
that's fine.
Lady, that's fantastic. Like you do you. That does mean that you might need to find someone who makes a little more bank in order to like keep you guys afloat and whatever. Yeah. That's doable.
Or
right?
You guys don't mind living a very modest lifestyle.
Right. And those are all things that you got to suss out with your values. But so I guess financial readiness does not mean a certain number.
No.
It doesn't mean a certain amount of wealth or a certain set of assets that you've built up, right?
It is a certain number, but it's not just about the number.
Well, it's a certain number, but it's individual to each person.
Yes.
And what they're trying to do. So it's not a specific amount, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a specific set of things that you need to have already bought or been able to afford. It's, am I able to sustain my lifestyle on my own? And could I combine that with another person's income and generate some savings and start to build wealth? And have I prevented myself from paying into debt significantly?
Yep.
We got to stop. I'm falling asleep.
Yep, I know.
I'm struggling so hard.
I can look on the camera and see.
Yeah, this is I started off like, fresh.
I was like, are you sure? And she's like, yes. I'm like, all right.
I know. Slowly tanking. All right. No announcements. We're just trucking.
Nope. Trucking along.
Doing things.
Yep.
I love you.
I love you too.
I could fall asleep like literally right now as
we're talking. I know. You woke me up to come in here.
Because we had to get the podcast done.
I know.
We gotta do what we gotta do, babe.
Yeah.
People are waiting with bated breath to hear us talk about car repairs.
Hey. That's right.
Can we wait really quick? Can I just tell one little story? So Stephen bought a car. He bought a truck.
Oh yeah.
What kind of truck? What kind of truck was this?
It was a
I always get
Chevy S10.
It's a Chevy S10.
It was like a 2001 or 2002.
If you've ever seen a merry-go-round ride that has little vehicles on it, it is slightly larger than the little trucks on the merry-go-round. It's like,
no, sorry, it wasn't a Chevy. It was a GMC Sonoma. It's the same model. It's just GMC.
Yeah.
GMC Sonoma. Sorry.
It's eensy weensy. Like, you don't even really have to climb up to get into it. It's kind of like
it was
level.
slightly bigger than a single cab. It had that little like fake seat in the back.
You bought it for like how much? It was like
it was like $1,500
yeah,
or $2,000. Oh, because I needed a truck for doing beekeeping stuff, and it was like my adventure into beekeeping.
Yeah, you needed like a truck bed of some kind.
And I worked that truck out, man.
Yeah, I mean, you drove it into the ground, but like,
and I sold it.
Yeah,
I sold it for almost as much as I paid for it.
Yeah, which says something. But so Steven buys this little truck, and before that, I think you had like some kind of a crossover.
It was a Mitsubishi Outlander. Yeah.
So Steven buys this little truck.
2003.
Yeah, he's all excited about it. So he's like, "Babe, you want to go for a ride in my truck?" I'm like, "Yeah, babe, sure."
Oh yeah, it's like cloth, like that, like the seat fabric looks like the carpet in a skating rink.
Yeah, it was rough. And so we're like in this little truck. It's fine. It smells okay. Like,
yeah, it didn't smell bad.
Yeah, we're like doing the thing. We're, just bebopping along down the road. And we pulled over to like a Walgreens or a CVS or something because you wanted to go in and get a drink before. I don't remember where we were going.
We were going to buy your SCOBY.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're starting my kombucha. This was a weird season of our life. How far we've come. And we pulled over. He pulled over in the parking lot of this Walgreens, and Steven opened the driver's side door, and the door fell off in the parking lot. The door fell
off the hinges.
Came clean off the car, and I just passed out from laughing.
Dude.
It was, and you just stood there for a second, just seeing this.
I was trying to calibrate whether I should be embarrassed or what. I didn't know what to feel. I was like, what in the world?
Because you had been so proud of this buy, which it was a solid buy in terms of the value of what you got.
Yeah. And what we've ended up like working it, I use that as my B vehicle for like the beginning part of my business for the next 4 years.
Yeah, it was great. Anyway, guys, buy junk cars, save money, happy marriage.
They're not going to be pretty. You're not going to be proud of them for the for the same reasons that everyone else would be proud of their cars. But you know what? You know how much money we saved by not buying a car that we had to lease?
I don't know. My little frugal self thought it was pretty hot.
That's right.
Yeah, I was into it. I was all about the junky cars. If you didn't,
hey, you know what?
A lot of money.
Never fell off the hinges again because it needed to be a little love.
Yeah, you fixed it.
That's right.
And that's how it works. You just fix them as they go. Yeah, duct tape and whatever else.
Yeah. Oh, I miss that little truck.
All right. I love you.
I love you too.
You guys have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Bye.